Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. Casper Heilman here at Waiting at the Station with a Good Book. So thanks to Steve Donahue and various other booktubers, I have decided to do the booktube newbie tag. It seems to make sense. So here is question number 1 as a booktube newbie. Why booktube? Why am I doing this? Well, I am probably, in my circle of friends and acquaintances, the person who reads the most. Most people don't read as much as I do. They don't derive the same joy, and they have other hobbies. So I wanted to have someone to talk to about books. Seems like that's a pretty standard answer. It seems like a good drive, and I like learning about books, what people are reading, what they're talking about, what they think about things. What are some fun and unique things about me that I can bring to YouTube? What can I contribute that's different or interesting? I'm a fairly interesting person. I grew up overseas, so I have a different perspective. I like reading a lot of different types of things. So I read a lot of nonfiction, a lot of history, a lot of military history, and that's what my training is from college. I am actually employed as a historian by a city in Virginia, so I work in a museum. That's where the name of my channel comes from. I work in a railroad museum. What am I most excited about BookTube? Interaction. So if someone wants to talk to me about my channel or what I'm reading, that's what I'm most excited about. Getting to know people, talking to people, making new friends. Why do I love reading? Because I get to read whatever I want. If I'm interested in something, it is a way of me being able to learn about it. And it's a very low price point. I can afford to do that. I can't afford to go to some of the places I would like to go. Someday, maybe. I grew up overseas, so I've been able to see a lot of cool stuff. I lived in Italy, lived in Japan, lived in the South Pacific, traveled all over the United States. But there's still stuff I want to see and learn about, and I can do that through reading. What got me into reading? I remember the first time my mother took me to a library. We had just moved to Italy, so it was probably 1985. So I was 5, I assume, maybe a little bit older. So I was born in 80. And I remember getting my little junior library card, and that was mine. And I could check out whatever I wanted. How do I pick out books is the next question. That's a bit of a mixed bag. So at work, I read a lot. For projects I have to do, I've been appointed to historic committees. I'm actually reading this book to help plan for my city's 250th Revolutionary War anniversary. This was the unit that burned our town to the ground, the 33rd Regiment of Foot of the British military. So I wanted to get their perspective. So that's what I'm reading for that. So work drives a lot of what I read, but I also read for pleasure, of course. So fiction-wise, I like a nice, good historic novel. I like horror, science fiction, fantasy. I'm always reading 2 or 3 things at a time. And I typically average about a book and a half a week. So that's kind of my pace and how I pick things. Plus, if I see something and I want to read it, I'll pick it up. Challenges of being a part of BookTube. Just doing it, making time, making it a priority. getting in a quiet place. So my museum's pretty busy, and I typically post at my museum because my house is even more busy with 4 dogs and 3 cats and 2 children and a wife and stuff. When did I start reading? Well, I told you the story about going to the library. I always remember reading. Earliest memories, I've been reading, so 4 or 5 years old, reading. Sometimes, due to life, I read more than others. Last year I read 100 books, roughly, and that's kind of my pace now. Where do I read? Well, I read at work for my job, because it's part of the job, and then I typically read at night when my family goes to bed, before I go to bed, so I get a good 2 hours in of reading at night before I go to bed. And I read fairly fast, not Steve Donahue fast, so I'm not breaking the speed of sound or light or anything, but I can move my way through books and retain the information and enjoy it and things like that. So what do I like to read? Kind of pretty much already answered this question. Nonfiction, fiction, wide-ranging, science, theology. I will concentrate on nonfiction most of the time, military nonfiction, because that's what I'm mostly interested in. Fiction-wise, I'm always looking for something good, something that will engage me, something that... Steve Donahue puts it best. Nonfiction is a fantastic experience. Typically, it's more interesting than fiction, but fiction does have a different purpose. It's to add spice. It's to add kindness. It's to add levity. It makes you laugh. It can make you cry. Typically, I'm not going to cry, though. That's just not me. So I hope everyone has a good Sunday. Today is July 9th, Sunday, July 9th. Hopefully everyone's had a good day. And thank you for joining me again. Have a great day. Bye.